how do people identify someone is struggling with something, right? Because I've heard a lot of stories, and you've mentioned Neil earlier, Neil Casal. He's been on the podcast, and he's like, he was one of the nicest, most kindest people like I've ever talked to, and he took so much extra time. Like, supposed to only have 30 minutes, and we talked for like an hour and 15 minutes. I've heard stories of Robin Williams, him being backstage at shows and literally talking to everyone, talking to the security, talking to the janitor. It didn't matter, whoever. If he saw a person, he would approach you and talk to you, and you think, man, these people are so nice and so kind, and then they're dealing with something that we have absolutely don't know about, and then they take their life, unfortunately. How do we identify someone is struggling with something, and when is it okay to help or interfere?
Sure. So I think if in situations that you just described, where it's not overtly obvious that they're dealing with something, I think it's not so much of what signs are you looking for, but just to more so be aware that everyone's kind of going through shit, even though you might not be able to see it, and to make yourself available, and to also just be comfortable having conversations of, talking about your own mental health, because even if you're not clinically depressed, like, we all have these internal battles, and to normalize that conversation and to talk about the resources that exist might influence people that are really struggling and not comfortable to reach out.
What I guess, what are some things that we could do to maybe have like different conversations while we're on road and on tour? Like, what can someone do to be more mindful of having more important conversation versus just like the surface level stuff? Like, I don't know, any suggestions for like conversation starters or topics that people should try to be more comfortable to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally being open about how people feel about things, and how, maybe a situation has transpired and you need, I feel like people are always so buttoned up and try to ignore situations, but if you just ask, so how did that make you feel? It kind of opens the floor to a deeper conversation that people go to a vulnerable place to, achieve a new level.
So maybe it's going to be hard to change some people in it for a long time, but maybe like the leaders, like those tour managers or production managers, maybe if they lash out at someone and they know they did something wrong, to where they're going to apologize instead of just saying sorry, maybe just asking, hey, sorry I did this, but just curious, like, how did it make you feel?
Right. Yeah. And really just identifying and being open about potential triggers. And, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not from the clinical team, but from what I've learned through my amazing coworkers is really just, it's about conversations and being upfront, asking more than telling. Would you prefer, or like just trying to stay on the same page about things. I know it's not easy at all, but feelings are okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the moral of the story, is people need to be comfortable talking about how things make you feel before it gets worse.